I'm Dan Bates. I'm Principal Oboe of the Irish Chamber Orchestra, and this is my inside track on Mozart's Symphony No. 31, the Paris Symphony. Now, Mozart wrote this piece in 1778 while he was in his early 20s, during quite an unsuccessful work trip to Paris. Unsuccessful in the fact that he was there looking for work and he didn't find very much of it. Now, Mozart was no great fan of French people or France in general. In fact, he wrote to a friend of his, he said about this piece, "I hope that even these idiots will find something in it to like." So that's fairly damning. Therefore, the opening of this symphony is very grand in, I suppose you could say, a rather obvious way. Interestingly, it's the biggest orchestra that Mozart had ever used thus far in a symphony. Double woodwind, trumpets, horns. He used them because really these forces were available to him in Paris. Wafi, our principal clarinet, will be thrilled to know that this is the first work in which Mozart uses clarinets in a symphonic context. The clarinet as we sort of know it was invented about 50 years earlier than this in 1730. But so this marks quite a big turning point for Mozart, because he goes on to use the clarinet an awful lot in later works. And now apparently it did actually go down quite well with the Parisian audience. They didn't only clap between movements, which is a bit of a bugbear for us orchestral musicians, but they actually clapped during the movements if there was a particularly nice bit that they particularly enjoyed. The middle movement exists in two versions, but no one is really certain which one was composed first, so no one really knows for sure which is the proper original version. The finale, the last movement, is very technically impressive. There's loads of counterpoint, which is voices sort of against each other in a very kind of architectural, clever way, and a fugato in the middle of the movement. So that's a sort of, again, like a canon where a tune is played and then another group of instruments pick up the same tune and it's sort of all played on top of each other, almost like a canon or a round. Another interesting feature of this piece is something that has become known as the Mannheim rocket. Now, Mannheim was a place where arts and music really flourished, and they had big orchestral forces at their disposal there. So they used large orchestras. It was one of the places where wind instruments sort of became, the parts writing for wind instruments became more, they were sort of instruments in their own right, rather than just, for instance, doubling the strings. And there are also several techniques which are sort of known from the Mannheim school, one of which is called the Mannheim rocket. Now I'm going to demonstrate this to you on an oboe that Mozart would have recognized more or less, we think. This is a classical oboe from very, very early 19th century, so sort of around 1802, 1803. So slightly after Mozart had died, but not significantly. And a Mannheim rocket is where the music, you'll hear, it suddenly flies upwards like this. So you hear it's sort of like the music's taking off. So we're massively looking forward to playing the Paris Symphony with Thomas Detmeyer, and I hope that you can tune in and watch and listen. Thanks very much.